Okay, so now that we know how to do simple output to the user, we want to read something in. So just like we did standard out, if we want to get information from the user, we want them to type into the console and we want to use that information, we can use standard cin, so console in. And our streaming operator will go the other way because something's coming from the console and we're going to put it somewhere. But we need somewhere to put it. So this is where we introduce the concept of a variable. A variable is basically a piece of memory that we can store things in and we can change it out. You can kind of think of it like a drawer. If you open up the drawer in your kitchen, you can put something in there, close the drawer. When you want to get it back out again, you can open the drawer and have a look at what's there. You can change it out for something else. You can take something out of the drawer and put something in. So it varies what's in the drawer. So it's called a variable. Now in C++, when we want to create a space, a new drawer, we need to tell C++ how much space we need. Storing different things requires different amounts of space. In our case, we want to store a whole number, which we call int, which is short for integer. So we specify the amount of space we need. So I say I need enough space to hold a whole number without anything after the decimal place, and we need to give it a name. So that's like putting a name on the drawer, because we've got many drawers. When I want to get something out of a drawer, you need to tell me which drawer I want to go to read the value. So I'm going to create 3 of these. I'm going to take first name, second name, and result. So now I have some memory allocated. I can now read in from the console. So I will read in a number and I'll put that into, oops, that shouldn't be name. I'm not sure why I typed name. It should be number. Okay, I've got a problem typing today for some reason. First number, second number, and result. So what we'll do is we'll read from the console into first number. Then we also want the user to give us a second number. And we'll put that into second number. And you can see our streaming operator is going from the console to the variable where we're going to store it. So we'll ask the user to put in a number, they'll type in a number, and we'll move that number from the console into this variable. Now with result, what we're going to do is take these 2 numbers and add them together. So we'll say first number plus second number is going to give us the result. Now you'll notice another thing here. Every time I write a line, you can see I'm adding this semicolon at the end. This is a way of telling C++ when one line has finished and another has started. So it can then process that line. Well, how come C++ doesn't know that we've finished the line? Because we've just pressed enter and we've got a new line down here. Well, in C++, it's a language that actually ignores what's called white space. So I can actually put the next line up here, and as far as C++ is concerned, that's 2 separate lines, because there's a semicolon here to say that line's finished and this next line's started. But for us to be able to look at the code and make it readable for us, we actually put it onto a new line like that. Okay, so down here you can see we've got first number plus second number. So we can use all the basic mathematical operators that you would use to add, subtract, divide, multiply. Now we don't have multiply and divide symbols on our computer, so we use the asterisk for a multiply and the / for divide. But for the moment I'm just going to stick with plus. And then the last thing we want to print out is result of adding is, and then I can stream in my result. So it's very handy having these little streaming operators, because what I'll send to the console out is I'll send this string and then I'll send the result, and I can put as many of these together as I like. The one thing I haven't done is given the user instructions on what to do. So let's do that now. We'll go console out and we'll say enter the first number, and I'll put a new line there. So the new line, so the number goes onto the new line. finish it with a semicolon. And then I'll say console out, and I'll put a new line so that we start on a new line after they've input that number. Enter the second number, and I'll put a new line again. And then lastly, when we go down and we add them up, again I'll put a new line. Result of adding is, and I put out the result. So let's give that a run. So you can see in the console it says enter the first number. I'll put 6 and press enter. Enter the second number and I'll put 8. Press enter. And it says the result of adding is 14. So it's taken the 6, it's added 8 to it, and it's resulted in 14, which is now printed out. So we can use these inputs and outputs to read and write to the console, but what's important from this video is when we want to store numbers or any sort of value, but at the moment we're just using numbers, we have to allocate some space to actually put that number, like allocating a drawer, giving it a name, and telling C++ how much space we need. In this case, enough space to hold a whole number. And we can then use our variables with normal mathematical operators like plus, minus, divide, multiply, and we can use this equal sign here to put a value into a variable as well. So in this case, unlike regular maths, when I put an equal sign, I'm not asking are the two things on either side of equal value. In programming, this is called the assignment operator. The assignment operator takes whatever's on the right and it stores it into the variable on the left. Okay, now because this isn't a single value, I've actually got what's called an expression. I'm actually doing something. It will do that first. It'll add these two numbers together, get the result, and then store it into the variable on the left. And finally, because we have that result stored, we can go print out that result.